And Prince Andrew is facing fresh scrutiny after a US judge ruled more evidence relating to grope allegations made against the Duke can be released. The 40 documents could reveal more details of Andrew's encounters with Johanna Sjoberg. Johanna Sjoberg, who claims the prince groped her breasts at Jeffrey Epstein's New York home in 2001. The documents will be made public in just 2 weeks' time, alongside hundreds of other files revealing the names of more than 170 people who were associates, friends or victims of billionaire paedophile Jeffrey Epstein. Prince Andrew has denied all allegations made against him. Joining us now is former royal correspondent for the BBC, Michael Cole. Michael, a pleasure to have you on board as always. I mean, underpinning this fresh embarrassment for the royal family and fresh disgrace for Prince Andrew is this deal he made with his accuser, Virginia Giuffre, who accused him of having unlawful sex with her on 3 continents. He fully denies that, but in order to stop her going to court with those charges, he gave her $12 million. That raises suspicions not only in our minds, in the public's minds, but the King's mind. But let's ask you, given that he's in for this fresh embarrassment, do you think the King has to stop him going to church with the rest of the family at Sandringham on Christmas Day? He went last year, but with these allegations hanging over him, it just doesn't seem right to me. What do you think?
Well, he is his younger brother. I don't think he would ask him to stay away, but maybe he'll have to stand behind the Christmas tree for some of the holidays, because this is the Christmas present he least wanted as he gets prepared to move into Wood Farm on the Sandringham estate to spend the Christmas holidays with his family and indeed with his ex-wife, the Duchess of York. This, as you've said, is a fallout from a case in Manhattan. The judge in that, Loretta Preska, has decided that the names of 177 people, some of them very prominent, some of them very well known, some of them very high profile, will be revealed. And what they said, these are the people who gave witness statements or gave depositions or were interviewed for that particular case. The circumstance of Prince Andrew's involvement in this was 22 years ago, when charming Johanna Sjoberg, Johanna Sjoberg, who we've seen there, she was 20 years old at the time. This all took place at the Manhattan townhouse of the late unlovely, unlamented Jeffrey Epstein. And Ghislaine Maxwell, who was convicted of procuring and trafficking underage girls, in other words, children, for the sexual pleasure of Epstein, she brought down a spitting image puppet of Prince Andrew. And those of us with long enough memories can remember them. They had sort of big teeth. He had big teeth like tombstones. Anyway, Maxwell put this puppet on the lap of Virginia Roberts, as she then was, now she's Mrs. Giuffre, and she put the hands of the puppet on the breasts of this young 17-year-old underage in New York girl. At that stage, Johanna Sjoberg says in her own testimony that of her own volition, she sat on Prince Andrew's lap, and he, presumably to make a joke of it, but it's a very serious matter, so we cannot take it lightly, put his hands on her breasts, presumably outside her clothing. That's what it's all about. It's fresh embarrassment. And as you said, Kevin, very perceptively, Prince Andrew thought by spending a lot of money in damages, which he gave to Mrs. Giuffre, as she is now. We don't know quite how much it was. It's rumored to have been $12 million or $2 million, but awful lot of money, even after the lawyers have had their share. He gave that money, presumably thinking this case was going away. It won't go away. He can't get in front of it. It's like a piece of chewing gum stuck to his tennis shoe. You can't get it off. If anybody's ever had that happen to them, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I'm just going to go back to my question. No one is disputing the idea that, of course, Andrew can go to Sandringham and spend Christmas with his family. That's a private matter. And I hope he has a very nice time. What I'm asking you, Michael, as someone who knows all about the business of royal publicity and the show they make for the public, is that image of the royal family. We saw the Queen coming out of the church. It's a very important annual tradition that we all love to see, the royal family filing into church. Now, my question to you is, whilst he can go and spend Christmas with his family in Sandringham, should he be a part of that image this year? That's the question. Do you feel that Charles may feel, no, he can't take part this year?
An important part of Christianity is forgiveness and repentance. And perhaps this will give Prince Andrew the opportunity to exercise those rights which he has. It's all to do with forgiveness. I'm sure that he rues the day that he ever met Jeffrey Epstein. He certainly didn't handle it well. He handled it about as well as his terrible interview in November 2019 on Newsnight, another channel. It was awful, but it's worth saying that throughout this, he has always maintained that he never knew Virginia Roberts, as she then was as a 17-year-old, certainly never had sex with her, and it never, ever happened. So one is entitled to ask, well, then why give all that money? And the excuse at the time, or the reason at the time, was given that so it wouldn't take the spotlight away from the Queen's upcoming Platinum Jubilee. It's all very unfortunate. It's appalling. There is no way back for Prince Andrew into royal life or public life of any kind. He's lost his honours, he's lost his titles, he's lost his ranks in the armed forces. He's been punished, but there are many people out there who will say, because abuse of children who have got no means of protecting themselves by powerful men, and these are within the ranks of the 177 names we're going to hear on the 2nd of January, they need protection, and they need more protection. And if he is an object lesson that this should not happen and must not happen again, then let it be.
I mean, perhaps being rather cynical here, the fact that 177 other names of high-profile associates are going to be released at the same time might be a bit of a blessing, for want of a better word, for Prince Andrew, because I'm sure on that roll call there'll be some names that really do raise eyebrows and sort of become headlights that might drown out Prince Andrew's latest scandal being publicised.
Your news instinct is absolutely on the ball, because that's what I thought when I first read this story. This has moved on from Andrew. We've known all about his indiscretions, his lack of judgment, and the terrible way it's all been handled from the beginning. If I had given him public relations advice 2 years ago, there was a different way of doing it, but he didn't choose to do that way, and the way he's chosen has been disastrous for him. But I think you're absolutely right, Alex. It'll be the other names. We've heard them mentioned in the press, but it will be nothing like seeing them with the imprimatur of the court in Manhattan. When we see what was asked of them and how they replied and what was alleged, I think there'll be some major headlines, and the names may be slightly different across the United States than they are here, but it will be a major story in the new year.